Hello, this is Jared. I'm playing Oxygen Not Included. In this episode, I'm going to try to get the Mine the Gap achievement. And for that requires me to mine 1 million kilograms of material from space. So I'm going to try the easy method. I'm going to continue building a carbon-based engine, as I've used for some of my other missions so far. The closest place to this planetoid is something called the Sandy Ore Field, which has the ability to mine solid materials. So I gotta get a cargo bay on this rocket. The only type of rocket that has the ability to mine materials in space is one that has a drill cone on top. And I discovered a drill cone after you build it requires plastic to build, but it also requires diamond to be able to actually function. So I have to go mine some diamond. My dupes are now loading diamond into the drill cone, and they'll put 1 ton of diamond into that. The other thing is, I just realized that that doesn't have an inside to it. I thought it did, so I still actually need a Spacefarer module for my dupes to be able to actually exist inside this thing. So I struggled for a while to try to construct this thing, trying to put a Spacefarer module in between here, and it's just not having it. I tried to create a brand new rocket on the other side. Maybe there's just some sort of bug or something going on there, and in the end I noticed there's a little message that says it doesn't support this many stuff with the engine I have, so I can't use a carbon dioxide engine if I want to be able to do this. Giving up on this rocket, I destroy it and the game decides to crash. We're not off to a good start here. Let's see what we can do. So here's my rocket, and you can see if I go to it, it has a height limit warning, meaning that that rocket engine does not support this particular height. So I'm going to switch out the engine. I'm going to bring in a Radbolt engine, and I'm a little bit nervous about this because I haven't used one before, but we'll see what happens. Not surprisingly, the Radbolt engine is going to require some Radbolts. So I purposely built the Radbolt generators where they are at the top of the base to make this easy. I'm going to have some Radbolt reflectors go in and point it to the input to the Radbolt engine. I also built a Radbolt joint plate to be able to let it send Radbolts out without losing gases from my base. I'm going to start to fill that engine and see if I can get it to go anywhere. Just watching the first Radbolt go into the engine, and as that fires through the Radbolt joint plate, it crashes right into the solar panel. Did not realize that it would do that, so I'm going to make a little change here. Easy enough solution. I just created 2 solar panels with a gap between them for the Radbolts to be able to fire through. So I noticed that the Radbolt engine takes quite a while to fill up. I'm still a little bit nervous about it, and I already constructed a petroleum engine. I just don't have Oxylite for it, so I'm constructing an Oxylite refinery. And I've got automation to be able to take the Oxylite that it creates and put it in a pool of water next to the rocket. And I'm going to get my dupes to load that inside the rocket. I'm putting it inside that water because Oxylite, of course, turns to oxygen if it just sits there in an unpressurized place. So I'm constructing the inside of my rocket, and this is going to be the same design I use for both the petroleum and Radbolt engines. I've got a room on the top left that's going to be a mess hall that has a smart battery in it. And then I'm going to wrap pipes all around this thing to be able to store as much oxygen and water inside the rocket itself. On the bottom right is going to be where I have food storage, and that's going to be storing food in a vacuum. As long as food is frozen when it goes in there, it'll last forever. A little bit of brine separating that so that the vacuum isn't lost and dupes can access it. The bottom left is where I have an oxygen diffuser and a bin where I'll eventually store algae, and I'm going to put in a manual generator when the whole thing's done. I've got some temporary stepping ladders to be able to complete construction, but I'm going to take those out and put in a cot so I get a barracks in the middle room on the top. So I've got 2 effective rooms, increasing morale and enough food and oxygen for them to be able to exist for quite a while. So this is the moment I was waiting for. My Radbolt engine has enough Radbolts to be able to make it to the mining location and back. So I throw a cargo bay on top of it, and I believe we're going to be ready to go. I've already selected the dupe that's going to be the pilot, so I just need to choose the location of where to go. That's the closest mining field I have access to, 3 tiles away. A little bit of extra Radbolts just before I go, excellent. And I step launch, and that takes off. That's my first Red Bull engine out in space. What could go wrong? Let's make sure the exosuit is taken off, and it takes 1 cycle to get there. I'm impressed. All right, I like Red Bull engine so far. So with respect to the petroleum engine, they start to load oxylites in there, and I built the storage on the right side with water, and they apparently can only load it from the left side. Ugh. I'm gonna move that over. The things you learn in this game. So now I'm gonna build the oxylite storage on the left side of this rocket to optimize them dupes going back and forth. And I'm gonna have a conveyor rail drop that off. And I'm gonna later on cover that with tiles, because as oxylite goes through a conveyor rail, it will release oxygen, wasting some of the oxylite if you don't. So my rocket has reached the mining location, sat right on top of it, and it is digging at it. It does not look like it's actually bringing anything in the rocket, but if you check some of the stats, the rocket itself, it is in fact burning diamond and converting that into some material. And that material will depend on what the site you're mining. So that's good. Let's check the progress to see where we are. And so, because I'm trying to get the Mind the Gap achievement in this game, so that's going to be towards the bottom. And it hasn't done a dent, though we've only just gotten there. So we'll see what happens after they sit there for a while. So my rocket's been here for a few cycles, and it is nearly complete the diamond. And it looks like it's going to get 20 tons of material. Now, I need 1,000 tons to be able to get this achievement. So that's 2% of the goal every time I send a rocket up, which means I need to do this 50 times. And there's only about 50 to 80 tons of material for each site, so I'm going to have to start to go to different sites. Seriously, game? Wow. This achievement is annoying. Oh my god. And so I'll also need 1,000 tons of diamond. So I'm pretty sure I don't have enough diamond that I've mined. I'm going to have to actually produce more as well. And I'll just mention there's not a lot I can do, because even if I double the storage of my rocket, I'm limited by the diamond, not the storage in it. So I can only get 20 tons of material every time. Oh my god, 50 times of this? Oh my god. I'll do it. Okay, so this is going to take a while. My rocket has finally returned. I experimented with a couple different ideas of how to empty this thing. My dupes will use the material that's in it as they need it, but I want it emptied right now so I can send the rocket right back. I decided the easiest thing is just to destroy it and rebuild it. I also built a second rocket. This is partially because I don't want to waste the red bolts that are being produced while one of the rockets is away, as well as the fact that this is going to take a really long time. As I mentioned, I'm going to have to do this 50 times. So I'm going to keep rockets moving out as much as possible to try to get this achievement. As I send a rocket up for another mission to get some material, I decide to look at the heat profile of this thing as it goes up. And I'm wondering if any damage may happen to some of the buildings that are close by. I think I'm going to change some of those ladders to obsidian, and that fire pole is probably going to have to go. I decided it is now time to build an additional Red Bull generator, because it's going to be needed to achieve this within a acceptable amount of time. I'm just putting the finishing touches on the inside of the second Red Bolt rocket. Oh my god, game, this is ridiculous. I've done 5 long trips back and forth to be able to get some mining happening, and I'm at 10% my goal. So I'm not going to get it in this episode. I am going to continue on and aim to eventually get it. I also believe that I've got the correct setup to be able to get this thing. So hopefully in an episode in the future, you'll be able to see me do my last trip in which I can show this achievement come through. So I'm going to concentrate on some other things in the meantime. Actually, the next thing is going to be using the cartographic module, because the mining location I have only has 50 tons of material. I need 1,000 for this achievement. So I need to discover some more locations. So I hope you will join me in this next episode where I use that.